Hi boys and girls, we've been learning about soil properties, the 5 properties: color, texture, composition, porosity, and permeability. Now that you know all those properties, we are going to test our properties. I'd like to introduce you to my lab partners, Diego, who's heading that way. Diego, come on buddy. And Shiloh, who's sitting here, okay? Now, and there's Biscuit in the doorway, wanting to come out. All right, now, you have on your venture list of items. I want to make sure you have these items. At any time you feel like you need to pause this video to run and get something, you need to do so, okay? You need your computer, because you'll need the video, okay? You'll need your soil sample. You'll need a glass or cup of water, halfway full, or just a little less than halfway. You'll need a spoon, plastic or real. You'll need a cotton ball. If you don't have a cotton ball, I want you to substitute with Kleenex, or even paper towel might work, okay? You'll need a pencil or pen. You'll need your science notebook, and you'll need a piece of computer paper, just plain paper. You could use notebook paper, but printer paper probably would work best for you, okay? Now on your computer, right where you found my video, okay, on slide number 2 of the Properties of Soil RL number 2 slideshow, you need to make sure you can see that. So you might want to right now create a new screen, make sure you can see the video, and make sure you can see, there goes my cotton ball, make sure you can see that list, okay, because we are going to reference this list as we work today, okay? The first thing we're going to test is color of our soil. So what I need you to do in your science notebook, you should call it 5 Properties of Soil Test, okay, something like that, and then just write down color. This is the easiest property there is to test, because all you really need to do is look at the color of your soil. So hopefully you're doing this outside somewhere where you won't get your house messy. But as I look at my soil, I'm going to take some in my hand, and it looks like a medium to dark brown. Okay, so I don't know what your soil is, but probably it's going to be a brown shade. It might be a black color. It might be a really deep black color. Okay, if it is deep black, a dark black, that just simply means it's very moist and has a lot of nutrients. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to write brown for my soil color. Okay, so that's how you test the property of color. Very simple. Okay, moving right along, we're going to test the composition of soil. So what I'm going to do is write down on my science notebook, composition. What is composition? Composition is what your soil is composed of. Think of the word composed and composition, okay? Now, if you look on your computer where I have your list, it's going to tell you here. It says you're going to pick up a pinch of soil and just squeeze it gently, okay? When you squeeze your soil, what does it do in your hand? Now, you have a couple choices here. If it's really loose, this one's not real loose because it compacts a little bit. If yours doesn't really compact much and it's really loose, then you would just write loose. Okay, your soil is loose. The composition of your soil would be loose. If yours breaks apart, which mine is breaking apart as I press, okay, it's what's called friable. Friable just means it's breaking apart. Okay. If yours is very firm, if it sticks together, and I can't get mine to stick together because it's pretty, yeah, mine's friable. If yours sticks together, then it's very firm. Okay, so for me, mine was friable because it would break apart really easy. So the composition of my soil, I'm just going to write down friable. Okay. Now, what makes it friable, what makes it loose, what makes it firm, it all depends on what's in the soil, okay? For me, there's probably going to be a lot of silt and a lot of sand in mine. If yours has a lot of clay, it's probably going to be pretty firm, so that's what you want to consider, okay? But for now, you're either loose, friable, or firm, so write that down for composition of your soil, all right? Texture is what we are going to look at next. Now, for texture, like it says here, it says wet one finger and rub a little of the soil between your fingers. So I'm going to take my cup of water. I'm going to wet, like between my index and thumb, and I'm going to take some of my soil. I'm going to press it together. Okay? Now, it says if the soil is made of large pieces and feels gritty, it's most likely sandy. Now, as I do that, and I look at it real close, mine doesn't feel real sandy. Okay? If your soil is made of medium-sized particles, maybe powdery, then it's more silky. Okay? I'm going to wait and show you the last one. If it's made of small pieces and feels gummy, that's what mine feels like. Like this piece here, it feels very gummy. Okay? That's going to tell me that it's sticky and has a lot of clay. Okay? So again, I can't, without being at school and having all your soil samples, I can't see what you are, but it's going to be silky, sticky, or grainy. If you have a lot of grains in it, you can feel the grains in your fingers. That's mean it has a lot of sand. Okay? Or silky, if it feels powdery, real smooth, it's going to be more silky. Now, like I said, for me, it's really sticky. It has, there's a lot of clay in this soil, and to be honest, around the Midwest, around Mason, Lebanon, this area is known for having a substantial amount of clay in the soil. Okay? So I'm going to write down sticky for my texture. The texture of my soil is sticky. And right next to that, in parentheses, I'm going to write sandy, because that's how I'm getting my not sandy, sticky, sorry. I meant to say sticky, okay? So it's more sticky. All right? So that's texture. The next thing is porosity and permeability. These are the trickiest two to test. Now, what you want to remember about porosity and permeability is they're very closely related, okay? When you think of porosity, you should think of the word porous. If something is porous, it has holes or spacing between particles, okay? If something has if something is very porous, it has a lot of space between the particles, okay? If something is less porous, like clay, there's not going to be a lot of space between the particles, okay? So if something is, let's say, high in porosity, like sand, okay? Sand has a lot of space between the particles. If you go to the beach and the water washes up on the shore, what does it quickly do? It quickly permeates in the soil, like it disappears. That's because the grains of the soil are far apart, okay? So that's for the porosity. The permeability would be very high, okay? If you have a lot of clay, like say you have a lot of clay in your soil in your backyard, water might stand. If there's a big storm, a big rainstorm, the water might sit for a while. That means it has a lot of clay. That means the porosity would be minimal and the permeability would be very low, okay? So what we're going to do, and this is the trickiest to test, okay? Because we're going to improvise here. You probably don't have a funnel. If you have a funnel at your house, I didn't put this on the list, but if you have a funnel, you might want to go inside now, push pause, and grab a funnel, okay? Most of us do not have funnels at home. So what we're going to use is a piece of paper, okay? Now, before I forget, get ahead of myself, I'm going to write down porosity and permeability. Okay? Now, it says here on your computer, just to go through this together, it says roll a piece of paper to create a funnel. So that's what we're going to do. So you're going to take your paper, starting on one end. This is hard to do, so it might take you a while. You are creating a funnel. You want to kind of have a wide mouth to it and a smaller hole at the bottom. So you're creating a funnel. It might take you a couple times to do this. Okay. And then you're going to hold it in your hand. So there's my funnel. Voila. Okay, you have a decent sized hole at the top because that's where you're going to put your soil, and your hole at the bottom is fairly small. Okay, now this is the trickiest part. If you have a cotton ball, you're not going to need the whole entire cotton ball. You're going to break some off, rip some apart, maybe not even, maybe about a fourth of your cotton ball, and you're going to put it in your funnel. And what you want it to be at the bottom. My pin's probably not even long enough. So I think when I put my soil in, that's going to force my cotton ball to go ahead and go to the bottom. If you don't have a cotton ball, take a Kleenex and rip it in half, and maybe even a little bit less than half of that piece. Go ahead and put in, try to put it in, try to force it down to the bottom. This just acts as a filter so that you, your water and soil just doesn't drip through, because you have to have something to catch some of the soil to keep it in the funnel. Okay, so now that my cotton ball, I'm gonna make sure that's down there. Now that your cotton ball is at the end, or your Kleenex, you're gonna go ahead and take your spoon, hopefully not one of Mom's nice China spoons like I'm using here. You're gonna take, I have a big spoon, so it's not gonna take much. I'm gonna say maybe two. Maybe two. So I have it filled up to about right here. About here is where I have my soil. Okay? Now, what you're going to do now, and I'm going to give you the instructions, I'm going to go ahead and do it, and then I'll allow you to do it. You're going to take your water. You're not going to pour all of this in. Okay? You're only going to pour it until it's about at the top of your soil. All right? Then what you're going to want to quickly do is put your cup under your funnel, because what's going to happen is it's going to start dripping through. Okay? As that's happening, you're going to want to count. Basically what you're trying to determine here is, does it drain quickly? Does it drain slowly? Or maybe somewhere in the middle? So I'm going to put it in, and I'm going to count. Oh, this is about dead. I'm going to count 1,000, 2 1,000 to see how long it takes my liquid to go ahead and go through the soil. Okay? So it has to happen kind of quick. You don't want to pour too much. So in fact, what I'm going to do, just for sake of not messing up our table and lawn furniture, is I'm going to do it over the mulch. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pour it in. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. Diego wants it. 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000, 7, 1,000. You can kind of see the water permeating, which means to flow through, flowing through the soil. I still have quite a bit, I've lost count now, but I can tell you just by the time this is taken that it's taking a long time. It's almost drained through. See, if you didn't have that filter, all your soil would just go right through your funnel. So right now my water has pretty much permeated through the soil, and it took quite a while. So if yours went pretty quickly, that tells you that your porosity was very high. Okay, it permeated very quickly. You have a high porosity. What might cause that? That would mean you have probably a lot of sand and silt in your soil. Okay, mine was very low in porosity, meaning, or I'm sorry, permeability. The permeability was very low. What does that tell me? That tells me I probably have in my soil sample, again, a lot of clay. Okay, if yours is somewhere in the center, maybe a medium permeability, you probably have a lot of silt in your soil. So what I'm going to write here for porosity is I'm going to put medium for me. Again, yours might be totally different than mine. Okay, for permeability, I'm going to put low, because it took a long time for my soil to, or my water to permeate through the soil. Okay, I think that's all. Hopefully that made sense to you. Hopefully you did a good job testing your soil. Make sure you record your information. Part of your assignment is you're going to create a Flipgrid where you're going to demonstrate what we did today or explain what we did. So hopefully if you are confused at all with the properties of soil, hopefully today's video helped you out with that. Okay? What do you do next? You clean up. I have my daughter Kirian here, who's volunteered so nicely to clean up my mess. Okay? All right, guys. If you have questions, let me know. Thank you.